Welcome back. You here with Goldberg. Today I wanted to do a few quick updates. First of all, the Black Pill book now has a paper version. A number of folks had requested it, and I had to do some wrangling with the design guy, but it seems to be in place. It's pretty similar as far as the listing. Ideally, this book will reach some normies, perhaps persuade some dudes who are, more in despair that, there is a future, there is a light at the end of the horizon. You don't have to feel like it's over. With that being said, some updates for myself. I walked away from the 1 gig, which a couple of years ago that would seem like you would never do something of that nature. I mean, this was well over 100K, good benefits, good growth potential. But we all have our point where just enough is enough. And a lot of these conservative bras will just say, hey man, stick your face in the manure and just collect your fiat, go home and watch football. And if that works for you, fantastic. It's just not for me. Do you remember when Tobey Maguire, he saved the baby and he was going to go back in because there was this land whale in a shoal that had to be rescued. And the cop says, you come back and place you under arrest. He says, I'm not coming back. In other words, once you know enough about the normie economy, about the way that the world functions, it's far more difficult to just pretend, oh, sure, just shuffle along. And when I was in college, to hear stuff such as avoid misgendering, check your privilege, that would have been if you were enrolled in a women and gender studies course, or you were at the, butthurt American Liberation Front meeting. But now it's mandatory training. Now you can actually jeopardize your employment for not completing these courses. And you say, that's not a big deal. Well, for me it is, but beyond that, I've noticed that the higher I rise in the normie accepted economy, it's always at an expense of autonomy and privacy. And I saw this coming quite a few years ago. I had applied to this police department, but I did not become a police officer, thank God. And I worked through about 50% of the background history packet. When I reached this one set of questions, and they say, you have to write down your usernames and passwords for all social media accounts. And I was like, excuse me? Or you can say you don't have any. Like, oh, so I can either give you a ridiculous wealth of personal information you don't need, or I can lie on paper when I'll later be doing a polygraph to get this job. I mean, this is how they set you up, everything. And whenever you get a new job, if you notice, they make you sign all these contracts and whatnot, which are designed to basically screw you. That's what they do. You go, oh, I'm working for Joe Schmo Corporation, non-arbitration, all this BS. So you end up saying it's just not a worthy cause. Now I still have another gig, and I'm waiting to see that whole little dispute going through the courts to figure out whether I can stay in that role. Either way, I'm not concerned because the job market's pretty hot right now. Yeah, it's possible they would uphold this whole dynamic, but what's going to happen is a lot of companies will probably just hire people as 1099s because I believe OSHA doesn't apply if you're an independent contractor. Now, being an independent contractor has its pluses and minuses. I have heard if you set up an S-Corp, it's not that bad, so perhaps that would be a route to go. But, that as long as you can get a paycheck and pay your bills, that's all that really matters. I don't feel there's much reason to keep investing in the normie economic system with the way it's going. It used to be at least meritocracy based, or somewhat. Now it's just, oh, we'll throw that all out because of our political views. What can you do? In one sense, it's made me realize the importance more so of doing the entirely, self-driven venture. And so I thought, well, possibly I could do another online project that would eventually morph into that. It's a long way off. The question would be whether to focus on like a current events type dynamic or maybe mix in a lot of humor. I'm not entirely sure. In any case, I don't think I would link the two. as far as this and what would come in the future, because I don't want to sully either of them. And I want it to have an organic growth, not, oh yeah, everyone was over from here. It needs to just kind of start from the ground up. So, like I've said, I'm still trying to figure out what that would entail, if anything. But closing thoughts as far as this channel is concerned, it is possible that I might publish a book still as Goldberg, although I've got a lot of different literary projects. Um, what I would really encourage you guys is never lose sight of the importance of being curious. A lot of folks just will try to search for something on the basis of, oh, it motivates my, base emotional instincts, therefore it must be correct. And that's an easy way to go through life, but it doesn't necessarily help you, I don't think, on a spiritual basis, because you often will feel like you're betraying what you know to be right just in favor of what you feel, which are not always the same thing. So, yeah, be curious, read, watch stuff, and don't become too stagnant or too comfortable in believing that this is absolute truth as far as political or economic principles might be concerned, because oftentimes there's at least a little bit of wiggle room to be had. But it's been a lot of fun. I've interacted with many cool people, even though I didn't necessarily see them face to face. And I hope everyone has a tremendous Christmas and New Year. Hopefully 2022, we will have some return to normalcy. That probably sounds very naive, and indeed it is. But we can always have a somewhat bright outlook without devolving into the mindless positivity that is all too common on the internet.com. So, yeah, have a great time, and God bless.